this young lady gives a good summation of what I'm outlining.
I'm actually glad somebody brought this up. The way that the internet has been bugging out about Osama Bin Laden's letter to America proves to me how influential anti-terror education has been post 9/11. The government will have you believe that people commit acts of terror because they're evil, that some people are born evil, that they have hatred and anger in their body for no reason. They hate America, they hate infidels, they hate people who aren't Muslim, they hate women, they hate queer people, they hate how accepting and free America is. That's not true at all. That doesn't make any sense. Before I continue, I don't support terrorism. The point that I'm making is that it happens for a reason. Whether you like it or not, terrorism is a form of violent resistance against an oppressive government or occupying force. Always. The United States is a victim of terrorism in the case of 9/11 because of how much land and power they occupied in the Middle East. There's terrorism occurring in Palestine and Israel right now because Palestinians, and by extension Hamas, have been victims of an oppressive, violent apartheid government regime. When you have oppressive governments or occupying forces, it pushes people to a point where this is their only option. That doesn't make it okay, but that does make it what happens.
Terrorist group from this girl is making you nauseous. Fear not, you're not alone. Nevertheless, we must try to understand this reaction so we can correct it vehemently. This girl and those who agree with her have a total ignorance of radical Islam and its history. And in this context, they obviously don't know that Bin Laden founded Al-Qaeda in 1988 for the sole purpose of enacting global jihad, or holy war, in order to instill a global Islamic caliphate. With that in mind, they've also forgotten that it's possible for two things to be true at once. That is, while it is true there may have been geopolitical conditions that caused different nations to attack each other at the time, as there have been for the entirety of human history in various contexts, it is also true Bin Laden and Al-Qaeda would have attacked America anyway, because America, and by proxy the West, stand in the way of the instigation of the Islamic Caliphate, both morally and practically. Bin Laden's letter says so when it demands America turn to Islam as a precondition for Al-Qaeda to cease its attacks. Should America fall to the Caliphate, the rest of the West would surely follow. The letter also clearly outlines that Bin Laden does, in fact, hate America simply for being America. The letter is a denunciation of American capitalism and liberal democracy. It even condemns lending and trading with interest. Goodbye credit cards. Not only that, the letter rejects American secularism and calls for the reunification of church and state. You are the nation who, rather than ruling by the Sharia of Allah in its constitution and laws, choose to invent your own laws as you will and desire. You separate religion from your policies, contradicting the pure nature which affirms absolute authority to the Lord and your Creator. This is the antithesis of the Enlightenment tradition of the separation of church and state, which progressives in America have been for the past several years kvetching over, thanks to Republicans implementing anti-abortion laws and overturning Roe v. Wade. Then, of course, there's Bin Laden's condemnation of sexual liberation and also of being gay, which are also two pinnacles of progressivism. We call you to be a people of manners, principles, honor, and purity, to reject the immoral acts of fornication, homosexuality, intoxicants, gamblings, and trading with interest. Not to mention the passage where Bin Laden effectively says American women should get back in the proverbial kitchen. You are a nation that exploits women like consumer products or advertising tools, calling upon customers to purchase them. You use women to serve passengers, visitors, and strangers to increase your profit margins. You then rant that you support the liberation of women. Goodness me, that doesn't sound very progressive, does it? Then, of course, there is just the rank anti-Semitism of the whole thing. My goodness, despite the fact that progressives have been swearing black and blue that just because they support Palestine doesn't mean they are anti-Semitic. You are the nation that permits usury, which has been forbidden by all the religions, yet you build your economy and investments on usury. As a result of this, in all its different forms and guises, the Jews have taken control of your economy, through which they have taken control of your media and now control all aspects of your life, making you their servants and achieving their aims at your expense. Yikes! Now, Given the aforementioned contents of Bin Laden's letter, all of which comes after the segment on Palestine, by the way, I'm left wondering, did these Generation Z TikTok enthusiasts even read the whole letter? Or did they just, stop after their views on Israel and Palestine were affirmed? Given the pipsqueak length of their attention spans, my guess is the latter.